Greetings, superior beings, greetings, supreme being. Welcome to Universal Peace Television, the channel or BC Hoffman, N on YouTube. This is the video News and Intel 1. Pence calls for Iran. Pence calls Iran nuclear deal, quote, disaster, unquote, warns of US withdrawal. I've added an exclamation mark. Previous broadcast was deleted. So this broadcast is going to be about other things as well. That's why it's called News and Intel. Other more important things. And let's start with the speech engine, reading the on-topic part.
President's decision on solar tariffs is a loss for America. President's decision on solar tariffs is a loss for America. Most referenced Solar Energy Industries Association 2301-2018. Netanyahu standing alongside Pence. Iran nuclear deal should be nixed if not fixed. Earlier today, U.S. Vice President Mike Pence spoke at length about the Iran deal at the Knesset, and said that the U.S. Embassy will be moved to Jerusalem by the end of next year. During his speech, Pence also announced that the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem will open by the end of 2019, adding that if both sides agree, the United States of America will support a two-state solution. This comment garnered a round of applause. Pence calls Iran nuclear deal disaster, warns of U.S. withdrawal. Radio Free Europe. Radio Liberty 2301-2018.
Universal peace now. This is Donald Trump. Prevent a two-state solution. World by any means necessary. Included in the two-state solution agreement that the allies of Israel and Palestine may not intervene if they go to war with each other to prevent a two-state solution. World. Universal peace now. Here's to you, well, Rick. Thank you for your idea for universal peace. Universal peace now.
YouTube vid. Every Jew will get 2,800 Gentile slaves. English subs uploaded by Sleepwalk No More. When the Messiah comes, every Jew will have 2,800 slaves. Simeon Hadarson, Vol. 56D Jewish Talmudic quotes. Facts are factsrance.com/genrelady6/talmud.htm. Goyim were born only to serve us. Without that, they have no place in the world, only to serve the people of Israel, he said in his weekly Saturday night sermon on the laws regarding the actions non-Jews are permitted to perform on Shabbat. Goyim were born only to serve us. Without that, they have no place in the world, only to serve the people of Israel. In Israel, death has no dominion over them. With Gentiles, it will be like any person, they need to die, but God will give them longevity. Why? Imagine that one's donkey would die, they'd lose their money. This is his servant, that's why he gets a long life, to work well for this Jew. Why are Gentiles needed? They will work, they will plow, they will reap. We will sin like an effendi and eat. That is why Gentiles were created. Weekly Saturday Night Sermon in October 2010 timesofisrael.com. 5 of Ovadia Yosef's most controversial quotations.
So I'm now also reading other stuff I want to read. There was more in the previous broadcast. And, well, some of the subjects I mentioned here, this is a collection of intel basically So it's sublimated information, stuff that I think is important to create a timeline in which we control the factors that control aging, and in which maximum fulfillment is bestowed upon every living organism. And I think this should be the goal of every government, and we should all work together towards that goal, not away from it, and not depopulate ourselves. We shouldn't genocide ourselves, and these people must be stopped, the people that are trying to depopulate the earth and that have killed millions of people already with their depopulation methods. So that's why I erected the anti-global government movement. And people can always Skype me to have a nice conversation, ask questions, talk about these matters. Also to comment or criticize me or whatever. I like it when people call. So I'm not a homophobe, I'm not an anti-Semite, and I'm not a racist. I hope that's clear. And I still have to find my bearing. To find my bearing.
Total global population 500 million, 2,800 slaves per Jew equals about 178,000 Jews would own about 499 million non-Jewish slaves. Slavery is forbidden by law. Do they actually want to re-implement slavery? Dob Shebi Goyim Hag, even the best of the Goyim, Gentiles, should be killed. Sofrim 15, Rule 10, the book Dob Shebi Goyim Hag, or kill the best Gentiles, has been extremely eye-opening in my understanding of race. Reddit.com. To communicate anything to a Goy about our religious relations would be equal to killing all Jews, for if the Goyim know what we teach about them they would kill us all openly. Talmud, Liber David 37, Tob Shbi Goyim Hag. Kill the best Gentiles, Talmud Sanhedrin 59. Full text of Kill the Best Gentiles archive.org. So they call non-Jews Gentiles, Goyim and other names to prevent them from finding out what they are saying about the non-Jews. To them it's a racial thing. If your mother is not Jewish you are not a chosen person, you are going not one of God's people. Dob Shebi Goyim Hag. Kill the best Gentiles, Talmud, Sanhedrin 59a. The text Talmud Sifrim 1510r. Shimon ben Yochai taught, kill, even, the good among the Gentiles, plus a lot of apology what it really means. The penalty for a Goy reading the Talmud, death. Image graphic, Israeli Sephardic leader Rabbi Ovadia Yosef in his weekly Saturday night sermon said that non-Jews exist to serve Jews, 2010. Answers.yahoo.com. What does the Talmudic command Tob Shebi Goyim Hag mean? Goyim Jerry Yang kicked out of Yahoo. By Talmudic Jew Hedge Fund. ThemeFounderground.com. Yehud equals Jew. Is Yahoo Jews company? Yahoo Answers September 6, 2009. Yehud is Jewish in Arabic. Yahoo is savage or brute in English. Yahoo is not a Jewish company. It was started by Jerry Yang. http://end.wikipedia.org/wiki/Jerry_Yang_entrepreneur, and David Philo. http://end.wikipedia.org/wiki/David_Philo. Neither of these guys is Jewish. Ivan Seidenberg is the former chairman and CEO of Verizon Communications Incorporated. Previously, Seidenberg was chairman and CEO of Verizon's predecessor companies, 9X. Born into a Jewish family, Seidenberg began his career in telecommunications as a cable splicer straight from high school. He was wounded in Vietnam, and subsequently earned a degree in mathematics from Lehman College, part of the City University of New York. CEO equals Chief Executive Officer. So the original CEO of Verizon was Jewish and Verizon owns Yahoo. Iran Vietnam. JewWorldOrder.org. Jew World Order Muslim terrorists equals Israel equals CIA equals MI6 equals Jews in disguise, defaming, terrorizing, and plundering the world. 1. Problem 2. Reaction 3. Solution. The elite Jews create the illness, then sell the cure. They create chaos and terrorism, then sell the solution. Nothing about the Jesuits and Masons on the page. Facebook.com/citizens.action.network. Data Selfie is a browser extension that tracks you while you are on Facebook to show you your own data traces and reveal what machine learning algorithms could predict about your personality based on that data. We're making changes to the YouTube.
So apparently it cannot really handle the slideshow together with reading the text. So let's try this again from the part that was effed up.
JewWorldOrder.org Jew World Order Muslim terrorists equals Israel equals CIA equals MI6 equals Jews in disguise, defaming, terrorizing, and plundering the world. 1. Problem 2. Reaction 3. Solution. The elite Jews create the illness, then sell the cure. They create chaos and terrorism, then sell the solution. Nothing about the Jesuits and Masons on the page. Facebook.com/citizens.action.network. Data Selfie is a browser extension that tracks you while you are on Facebook to show you your own data traces and reveal what machine learning algorithms could predict about your personality based on that data. We're making changes to the YouTube Partner Program. As a result, your channel will no longer be eligible for monetization starting February 20, 2018. Learn more. YouTube Partner Program Overview. We'll be making updates to the YouTube Partner Program eligibility thresholds starting February 20, 2018. Channels will need to have 4,000 watch hours in the previous 12 months and 1,000 subscribers to be reviewed to join the program. Get more details on the YouTube Creator blog. support.google.com/youtube/answer/72851. Ulrich Kaufman. I hope President Trump will stop the cancer chemtrails. Project Cloverleaf 1998. Before that there were no chemtrails nor contrails. See pictures and films that were made before 98 that do not show the long white lines visible in pictures and movies made after 1998 proving they are not cancer contrails but cancer chemtrails. CIA's Evergreen Aviation. Also see cancer chemtrail ingredients. There may be a few pictures of chemtrails made before 1994 but 99% of the pictures and movies made before 1998 do not show these long white lines in the sky proving these are chemtrails not contrails. This is another conspiracy fact, not theory, until people prove me wrong. Prince predicted 9/11 and chilling performance in 1998, Daily Star. Daily Star. So did Michael Jackson and Alex Jones, Beware, Controlled Opposition, and many others. The Jesuits let some of the insiders and controlled opposition know about these Jesuit orchestrated events before they happen and they want to pretend a deity, demon or angel informed them and it was divine precognitive intelligence supplied to them to make themselves look good. Jesuits did Hiroshima and Nagasaki. You know they came out alive at ground zero and want to pretend that was a miracle, but you and I both know real miracles do not exist. And God does not exist either. If we want a hereafter we must create it ourselves. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Spock played by Leonard Nimoy. Quote, the needs of the many weigh as heavy as the needs of the few. Live forever and prosper. What the few need may also be needed by the many. Democracy, voting, is one way to deal with this. Another is best jobs for the people with the highest grades. To create the best society possible, the people that are best qualified for the job must get the job, no room for favoritism. The idea behind these lines is, if the many can only be saved at the cost of the few then it must be done, but this is almost never the case. We should always try to save the maximum amount of human lives to learn how to control the factors that control aging and to stay alive ourselves. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. Isn't that slogan that produced whole wars? Self-sacrifice, giving your life to protect the group you are in, your country, is a heroic act to them, though it is a despicable act to kill your fellow humans. War is always a crime and there is always a better way. Universal peace now. Just trying to be critical of a slogan I have always liked. Do not let them divide you, stay united against the evil depopulators. Boycott Monsanto and, tax-exempt, corporations you do not like or think should be boycotted, and all other entities that must be banned for a better timeline. Fuck has CK in it. Everybody bombs to rule the world. Bears for tears. It's a joke because everybody wants to rule the world is a lie. Some people are against any one man or woman ruling the world. They may see centralization as power to the pedo and decentralization as power to the people, and know about the despicably evil Jesuits and Masons that have infiltrated governments worldwide with the plan to depopulate the earth and rule the world from Jerusalem, which is also clear from their book quotes. Because power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, many people know that the world may not and cannot be ruled by one person. Mao was a Yale man with skull and bones. Zaid Pub Yale in China was run by OSS operative Reuben Holden, the husband of Bush's cousin, and also a member of Skull and Bones. Yale University motto, Hebrew, Rim Thumb Mem pronounced Toarim Wetumim. They are connected with divination in general, and chloromancy in particular. Most scholars suspect that the phrase refers to a set of two objects used by the high priest to answer a question or reveal the will of God. Comparable to dice, polyhedral objects used to randomize decisions, called seer stone by some. Because they do not work and there is no God, they are not allowed to test God by asking if it will be a boy or a girl, yet this method of divination was used to determine whether someone was guilty or innocent, and perhaps even to determine if the person should be pelted to death with stones. Lux et veritas, Latin. For people that want to accuse me of Nazism, there is no time. There really are 6 Jews depopulating the earth, which I have listed in my broadcasts and attempted to press charges against. They have killed and are killing millions of people. Any comments of people accusing me of anti-Semitism and or Nazism will be removed. If I run into them, that is. The voice of God weapon and synthetic telepathy must not be underestimated, and the secrecy surrounding it must be removed. Several times I have made clear that not all Jewish people are involved in depopulating the earth, that I am not one of those that want to gas all the Jews, and told people to beware of controlled opposition. If people do not want to hear, they have to feel my mother, whom they have tortured to death with directed energy weapons, used to say. We are gonna have to take ourselves out in teams if we are serious about depopulating the earth. Organize paid collective suicide marches, etc. Iran has not refused the inspections of their nuclear facilities yet, because we know the IA first has to get a list of suspect sites with the name of the site they supposedly refused inspection of before they will attempt to do any inspection.
So I think most Jewish people are not in a position that they can depopulate the earth and get away with it, even if they want to, and they're just normal citizens trying to have a normal life, a good life, and they're very loving and kind, and most Muslims are too. And I think that most people are not serial killers, but I'm trying to bring sensationalism, and I'm trying to be professional, though I admit I'm not a professional just yet. But I'm working on it, for universal peace.
Yet the mainstream media pretends Iran did refuse these inspections, and so does the president. Third Jesuit World War over nuclear agreement, not two-state solution, world war or both? If it happens, take cover and travel in the direction the wind, caused by the nukes going off, is blowing. Distance Amsterdam Mijdrecht about 24 kilometers. Blast radius is a better term than range because they test on missile ranges. The bomb was attached to an 800-kilogram parachute, which gave the release and observer planes time to fly about 45 kilometers, 28 miles, away from ground zero, giving them a 50% chance of survival. Wiki/Czar_Bomba. Does anybody know the exact radius of the blast wave, or do airborne nuclear weapons not exist? They write about how high the mushroom cloud would be, but that should not interest anybody. The range of the blast wave is more important to know. All buildings in the village of Severny, both wooden and brick, located 55 kilometers, 34 miles, from ground zero within the Sukhoi Nose test range, were destroyed. Okay, So then it is best to go underground right now if you have a cellar or bomb shelter. Until this Iran thing blows over. They want to depopulate the earth so there may not be an air alarm before the nukes go off and everything above ground in Amsterdam and Mijdrecht will be swept away. According to my precognitive vision, death will be instantaneous for people living above ground in Mijdrecht. In my precognitive vision I was in my room, first floor, and it was a sunny day so there was no air alarm, otherwise I would have been in the cellar. Sellers love the bomb. Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Start Worrying and Hate the Bomb. The global government conspiracy is a conspiracy fact, not a conspiracy theory. Potentially hazardous asteroid the size of the Burj Khalifa is heading towards Earth at 67,000 miles per hour. The 2002 AJ129 asteroid has been classed a potentially hazardous by NASA. It will fly past on 4th February at speeds of 67,000 miles per hour, 107,826 km/h. This makes it nearly 15 times faster than the world's quickest manned aircraft. It is set to pass by our planet on the 4th February at a distance of around 4,208,641 kilometers away, which is relatively close in space terms. Is it possible they have made a calculation error, and why does NASA call it potentially hazardous? NASA describes asteroids as hazardous if they come within 4,600,000 miles. 7,402,982 kilometers, of our planet. Could this be the meteor mentioned by Nostradamus in his quatrains? Do they know the name of the person that calculated how close this meteor will pass by Earth? dailymail.co.uk. There may be more Nazis than there are Jewish people. Jewish people are about 0.2% of the world's global population, Muslims about 25%. Israel unveils plans for a racist underground border wall. The Israeli army on Thursday revealed details of a massive underground barrier being built along the border with the Gaza Strip in a bid to neutralize the threat of Palestinian attack tunnels. How can we then not have underground Mexican attack tunnels as well if this was in the mainstream media? That movie with that balloon going over the wall was also pretty impressive. Can't they just come in as tourists? No person is illegal and aliens do not exist. Suspended sentences. When a court imposes a custodial sentence of between 14 days and 2 years, or 6 months in the magistrate's court, the court may choose to suspend the sentence for up to 2 years. This means that the offender does not go to prison immediately, but is given the chance to stay out of trouble and to comply with up to 12 requirements set by the court. These include doing unpaid work, being subject to a curfew, undertaking a treatment program for alcohol or drugs, being subject to a rehabilitation activity requirement. If the offender does not comply with the requirements or is convicted of another offense during the suspension period, they are likely to serve the original custodial term in addition to the sentence they get for the new offense. In 2016, 56,317 offenders had a suspended sentence order imposed, representing 5% of offenders sentenced. These statistics are taken from the Ministry of Justice's Criminal Justice Statistics publications, sentencingcouncil.org.uk. Antonyms for trauma: benefit, blessing, comfort, contentment, favor, happiness, health, joy, calm, order, peace, alleviation, healing, help, relief. Videos on YouTube call Las Vegas shooting a hoax. BBC News. How come my Google search engine does not find all these videos any more than only articles and videos of the MSM claiming lots of people claim it's a hoax and attempting to label them fake news instead of the mainstream media? Some people claim to know they are lying, you know? YouTube revises search results following outrage over Las Vegas. Why are the mainstream media fake news people so convinced the Las Vegas shooting was not a staged fake shooting, a hoax, like the fake Apollo moon landings, of the NASA Freemasons? Facebook, Google and YouTube all help to spread fake news, especially now they are controlled by them. Certain truths cannot be found in the mainstream media, however only on these websites Google, YouTube and Facebook are trying to selectively block. You also have their robots posting messages in forums, chats and comments sections. Wiki is the CIA Vatican edited encyclopedia. And what else is new? Why was the KnowThisInfo.com YouTube channel banned? To find out who's the dictator, look at what is censored. Las Vegas shooting is a hoax plus fake. They are on PSYOPs. Our information comes from them. CIA FBI TPTB Max Malone, YouTube. Las Vegas shooting hoaxer collects nearly $50,000 on fake injury. Las Vegas shooting hoax agent Doug Cotter was not injured. This is fake. All claims otherwise are categorically false. Through mere lies and obfuscation, the Cotter family has purged some $45,000 plus from unwitting, vulnerable victims. KnowThisInfo.com. Adult actress Stormy Daniels, whose real name is Stephanie Clifford, said she had an affair with Trump after they met at a celebrity golf tournament in July 2006, months after Barron Trump was born. Trump's lawyer Michael Cohen arranged for Daniels to receive $130,000 in hush money before the 2016 presidential election, according to a Wall Street Journal report. Still, Trump vehemently denies any sexual encounter with Daniels, according to Cohen. NightDailyNews.com. Top 10 reasons why mechanical automatic watches suck. 1. Quartz watches are way more accurate, especially atomic quartz watches. Even the cheapest atomic watch is more accurate than the supposedly most accurate mechanical watch, the $26,000 Zenith watch. 2. Mechanical watches have moving parts, so they are very fragile compared to digital LCD watches. 3. No timer, no alarm, no stopwatch, no weather data, no sunrise-sunset data. Make sure the watch has airplane mode and an e-ink display when buying so-called smartwatches. 4. Mechanical watches require servicing every 5 years or so. Officially. 5. Mechanical watches are often bigger and heavier than quartz watches, also more little tiny fucking parts make it heavier. 6. Every time you decide to take off a mechanical automatic watch for a couple of days, you have to set the time again, risking completely ruining the watch when you set the date during times that is not allowed, for example when adjusting, say, a Breitling chronomat date. 7. Mechanical automatic watches always make noise. An LCD watch does not make any noise unless you set a timer or alarm. 8. No compass. 9. No watch faces to choose from. Automatic mechanical watches always look the same. You cannot create your own watch faces for it, like for the Pebble, Amazfit Pace and other Cooley ink display watches. 10. Not powered by sunlight. The automatic watches require wrist movement, mechanical watches require winding. 11. Bonus reasons: no phone and no camera. 12. For fun, not all loom is created equal. 13. It's so steel. Do you think there will be a third Jesuit world war over the nuclear agreement or two-state solution world war? And why or why not? Best to be prepared with a radiological water filter and storable food anyway. You have a lot more viewers than I do, so congratulations. Peace. Reaction to the video: Occult Literature 135, The New Dream Book Stike Sixenhammer 666, Donald John Trump, The Hill, Where Tactical Nukes Set of in Syria or Not. No EMP? Wouldn't the EMP destroy their cameras if these were tactical nukes? How could they have recordings of supposed nuclear tests if the EMP would erase the recording and break their camera? Are airborne nuclear weapons even real? What do you all think? Please let me know in the comments or Skype ProLogic 999. Declassified Secrets Miniaturized Nuclear Weapons Mini Nukes Subkiloton Neutron Bomb North Korea Zigzag Ground 0481 Views. Nuclear neutron strike hits Yemen carried out by Israel Lions Ground. Best to refrain from using the word kike because people will assume you are an anti-Semite, a Jew hater. If you use the word, they are not gonna think you mean only bad Jewish people, not the good ones. Get a radiological water filter and storable food just in case a third Jesuit world war is planned. The genocide of 65 million Russians. 530. The following content has been identified by the YouTube community as inappropriate or offensive to some audiences. Robert Wilton's works published in 1920 details the genetic backgrounds of all USSR and Bolshevik revolution leaders responsible for the genocide of up to 65 million Russians. The Wikipedia, The CIA Vatican-controlled encyclopedia, List of Genocides by Death Toll does not list the Native American Indian Holocaust toll, and they pretend the Jewish Holocaust had the highest death toll. The biggest genocide in human history didn't occur in Nazi Germany, but on American soil. 100 million Native Americans were slaughtered and lost their homeland, other sources claim. Drooling elite. If the A.I.S intelligence is superior to all human intelligence, you could argue we should let an AI rule the world. Conspiracy facts. 1. Cancer Chemtrails Project Cloverleaf, CIA's evergreen aviation planes. 2. People that have conspired to depopulate the earth, Committee of 300, Jesuits, Masons and 6 Jews that are depopulating Earth, with book quotes that prove they think it would be good if 93% of us humans would die. 3. Apollo moon landing hoax. The Apollo moon landings are 100% fake for sure. See my top 10 of things that prove the Apollo moon landings are fake. Several NASA videos show astronauts handling objects, and this is audible via the microphone in their spacesuit, which is impossible because there is no sound on the moon because of the vacuum. No air on the moon means there is no sound on the moon. NASA claims this themselves. 4. Conspiracy to impose a totalitarian Luciferian global government upon the people of planet Earth. Some people are openly advocating a global government, power to the pedo instead of power to the people. Centralization versus decentralization is what it's really about. 5. Killer vaccine depopulation conspiracy. The list of pandemics caused by vaccination and the ingredients by themselves make clear this conspiracy is real. 6. Conspiracy to brain control the global population. Psychiatrists do not do any tests to check whether the voices patients hear are induced, and they still apply electroshock, though it's proven that electroshock always increases the patient's suicide risk and causes brain damage by MRI scans. The fact that so few people talk about. 6. Conspiracy to brain control the global population. Psychiatrists do not do any tests to check whether the voices patients hear are induced, and they still apply electroshock, though it's proven that electroshock always increases the patient's suicide risk and causes brain damage by MRI scans. The fact that so few people talk about synthetic telepathy as described in the Moloch patent and control of human emotions as described in the Yama patent proves they are brain controlled, or at least programmed not to talk about it. There are several projects, programs and operations that describe how people are brain controlled. Their brainwave is modified. That's one of the reasons I do not call it mind control. 7. Cancer cell phone depopulation. Apple removing the App Store from iTunes so people have to use cancer cell phone radiation if they want to install an app. Many watches that have no airplane mode that irradiate you constantly with this extremely harmful cancer-causing microwave radiation are sold on eBay. Other watches simply do not work unless you pair them with your cancer cell phone, and the amount of these devices is only increasing. Keep it in airplane mode or switch it off for your own health and the health of the people around you. Use aluminum foil when updating the device using cancer cell phone radiation. Iran threatens U.S. Navy ships amid massive war drills. Washington Free Beacon 2301-2018. The priest was sentenced to a life of prayer and penance by the Vatican after he was found guilty of sexually abusing boys. How am I to interpret this? A life of penance and prayer in jail? Or should the interpretation be, you all go to jail if you have sex with a minor but priests do not? From, Pope apologizes to sex abuse victims, defends accused chilling bishop. CatholicNews.com. I understand they control the judges with directed energy torture weapons, so a fair trial is impossible anyway, but it's kind of weird when people like Adil Sultan, 39, are jailed for 17 months after pleading guilty to merely attempting to meet a child online, and priests do not go to jail for sexually abusing boys, or not. President's decision on solar tariffs is a loss for America. See most referenced Solar Energy Industries Association 2301-2018. Manus van der Lubbe was a Dutch council communist tried, convicted and executed for setting fire to the German Reichstag building on February 27, 1933, an event known as the Reichstag Fire. Wikipedia. If I understand it correctly, no matter how much they try to accuse the Nazis, the fire was lit by a communist. Is that correct?
So I care to know what you all think about this, and to chat with people about it. I liked the chatting yesterday, so we can chat some more, but single ladies are preferred. Or serious talk about global government and the depopulation, or people telling jokes or asking me questions. That can also be a male. But I'm not a homosexual, so then you're better off trying on a dating website for homosexuals, etc. I think there's someone for everyone out there. And there are people who care and that are really trying hard to do the best thing they can for everyone, including themselves, sometimes completely selfless, doing everything for someone else. But then you have to wonder if these are good people or bad people you're helping, if you're really creating a better timeline for yourselves and others. And if it's not an illegal order. So I'm against retaliation. If anybody would use a nuclear weapon, or if they'd go off by accident, it may not be programmed in a way to retaliate automatically, because all you're doing is killing the innocent civilians on the other side as well and contaminating the planet even more. So I may disagree with other people on this. And it's just better to be prepared with a radiological water filter and storable food. So I don't know what I'm going to do the rest of the broadcast. There's my broadcasting light is flickering green and red. Those CPU usage is at 56%. So everything should work flawlessly. So we can check what alt-right, racist, anti-Semitic, homophobic people have to write. So what do you all think? Is it good that the Daily Stormer is still out there, or should they be removed again? And are they controlled opposition, like some people claim? Not focusing on these 6 Jews depopulating the earth, but other things, and mixing in homophobia and racism. They know that won't get supported by a majority. And it will never be, because it's just stupid. We're all the human race and we must learn to live together before it's too late with all these weapons of self-destruction surrounding us. But I hope we stay united against the people that are trying to depopulate us and play us out against each other. So we should not let them do that. And I think 99% of us are not murderers and will probably never murder anyone. So we're rather advanced already. I think there are many webcams, many people looking out in society, many people are really doing the right thing. So I don't want them to be discredited by the 1% anonymous Occupy movement calls it, basically. The 1% of the elite that is trying to depopulate the earth and impose their satanic Luciferian totalitarian global government, Jesuits and Masons working with 6 Jews and many others that advocate depopulating the earth, which is illegal incitement to commit genocide. So somebody should press charges, and I think the state should do that. If it is impossible for citizens like me to press charges at the police station, which I've tried twice, And the second time a police officer came to my door asking me to remove the video of the recording I made at the police station in Mijdrecht. And this may have been the reason for the directed energy weapon torture, but there may have been another reason. I was anti-Bush and I also demoed anti-Bush. I thought he was guilty of treason. And many people still think he is guilty of treason. And of course his skull and bones, another thing many people don't want to talk about. So they're silenced about it, and also about directed energy weapon torture. And many other things that I try to cover because other people are silenced. Now they're hurting my leg, my right upper leg. So they can induce cancer in people, and they try to control, silence people with that illegal directed energy weapon torture. And of course they also control the judges and leaders with this technology. But we shouldn't feel sorry for them and let ourselves be depopulated. If we don't act, we are acted upon. So I hope you kill these Jesuits, Adolfo Nicholas, or whoever did and is doing this torture to me with these directed energy weapons. Because they've also murdered my mother, they deserve the death penalty under American law. And they may be attempting to create a world war over Iran, but I think that's not going to happen. They're probably just going to do sanctions. But they're a military order posing as a religious order. They also did Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And of course they've tortured 50 million innocent people to death in their Inquisition. And usually people don't mention the Satanists. It's always about the Jews or the Jesuits and Masons. Almost never about both. And Muslims and blacks and homosexuals and transgenders. Almost never about Satanists. So we can read some of this stuff. But this is not genuine YouTube poop.
Antifa faggots declare they'll murder anyone who questions the government or media. January 23, 2018 8. Andrew Anglin, no matter how many people they hurt, no matter how much private funding they get, this is going to fall apart. Stupid government starts up again just as people getting used to apocalyptic war zone. January 23, 2018 4 Waking Up, new alt-right cartoon. January 23, 2018 8 Google Jewish censorship campaign run by Secret Thought Police. January 23, 2018 5 Jews and lackeys label Tucker Carlson a white nationalist. Stupid government starts up again just as people getting used to apocalyptic war zone. January 23, 2018 4 Waking Up, new alt-right cartoon. January 23, 2018 8 Google Jewish censorship campaign run by Secret Thought Police. January 23, 2018 5 Jews and lackeys label Tucker Carlson a white nationalist. January 23, 2018 3 Kikes demanding the oppression of Polish neo-Nazis. January 23, 2018 4 Greece, Antifa squats burn across the country during Nationalist March. Hollow Oaks monuments get redecorated. January 23, 2018 5.
Okay, we can read that article. It's scrolling annoyingly slow when I try to select some text. It's almost like they control their minds and they build in stuff so it's harder to select the text to actually read it and stuff. On many websites, I don't mean just on the Daily Stormer.
Google Jewish censorship campaign run by Secret Thought Police. Eric Stryker, Daily Stormer, January 23, 2018. The Anti-Defamation League and the Southern Poverty Law Center are both key players in deciding what political opinions can and can't be expressed on the Internet. Nobody in America elected Richard Cohen or Jonathan Greenblatt, but because they have hundreds of millions of dollars at their disposal and like-minded, like-nosed co-ethnics leading the major social media companies, they feel they have the right to control what we can say and what we can think. Their justification for this abuse of power is, what are you going to do about it, you lowly goyim? Over 100 Jewish groups and globalist NGOs get to arbitrarily decide who has rights and who doesn't. Nobody in our government seems to care because they're all taken care of, with silicon chip bribes. Most of these groups know what they're doing is morally wrong in the eyes of the public, and Google knows some of the groups involved are seen as jail-left extremists, so their participation in Google's censorship and surveillance program is being kept a secret. Daily Caller. More than 100 non-government organizations, NGOs, and government agencies around the world help police YouTube for extremist content, ranging from so-called hate speech to terrorist recruiting videos. All of them have confidentiality agreements barring Google, YouTube's parent company, from revealing their participation to the public, a Google representative told the Daily Caller on Thursday. A handful of groups, including the Anti-Defamation League and No Hate Speech, a European organization focused on combating intolerance, have chosen to go public with their participation in the program, but the vast majority have stayed hidden behind the confidentiality agreements. Most groups in the program don't want to be publicly associated with it, according to the Google spokesperson, who spoke only on background. YouTube's Trusted Flaggers program goes back to 2012, but the program has exploded in size in recent years amid a Google push to increase regulation of the content on its platforms, which followed pressure from advertisers. 50 of the 113 program members joined in 2017 as YouTube stepped up its content policing, YouTube Public Policy Director Juniper Downs told a Senate committee on Wednesday. So a secret cabal of highly ideological anti-whites controls broad swaths of the Internet, that's a conspiracy. Secret police shutting down political dissidents? They said it wouldn't happen here. What measures can everyday folks take to fight back? We can't petition Google. It's too big to compete with. There is no mechanism for accountability. Corporate tyranny is worse than anything the government can come up with because the main culprits are obfuscated. Netanyahu standing alongside Pence, Iran nuclear deal should be nixed if not fixed. Earlier today, U.S. Vice President Mike Pence spoke at length about the Iran deal at the Knesset, and said that the U.S. Embassy will be moved to Jerusalem by the end of next year. Noah Landau, Jan 22, 2018. Haaretz.com. U.S. Vice President Mike Pence and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Jerusalem, Jan 22, 2018. Amiel Salman. Mike Pence's Zionist sermon at Knesset casts him as hero of Israel, horseman of Trumpocalypse. Vice presidential throwdown. Is Pence really a better friend to Israel than Biden? Mike Pence just confirmed America's exit from the Mideast peace process. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called the Iran nuclear deal disastrous in a press conference with U.S. Vice President Mike Pence on Monday in Jerusalem. There is still time for leaders to seize the opportunity that President Trump has offered them, to correct the failing of the nuclear deal. But if those leaders do not seize that opportunity, or they offer only cosmetic changes, Israel will unequivocally support the president's decision to walk away from a bad deal and restore crippling sanctions. Our position is clear: fully fix it, or fully nix it, said Netanyahu.
A while ago, I did a broadcast about Mr. Rothschild selling US assets and buying cancer oil in South America. So we can, according to some people, expect the cancer oil price to go up. So these crippling sanctions could affect the price of cancer oil. I still have to think about the implications, if that could lead to a world war and how to prevent it then, if it could.
Pence recognized the situation with Iran, and said that the U.S. also aspires for hope in the region. Pence said that he met with the leaders of Egypt and Jordan earlier in his trip and said that those two countries made peace with Israel and now understand the threat that Iran poses.
Well, one of my tips would be first have an agreement with the Russians on the actions and the policy to avoid a world war. And think about all options and choose the best one. So I've read that many Europeans are against getting rid of the Iran nuclear deal. And so the question is, what would be best for universal peace? According to General Wesley Clark, they want permanent bases in these countries in the Middle East. They're listed, so people can check that as well. And perhaps it would be best if the Iranians would comply and allow inspections in their military facilities. And perhaps they already have indicated that now they are willing to allow the inspections in these facilities. So the decertification of the nuclear deal is basically mainly triggered by the idea that they don't allow the inspections, which is weird because the IAEA has not been supplied a list of suspect sites, which they first have to have before they can do any inspections. So they haven't attempted to do any inspections, yet there are already people claiming that they won't allow them. So that feels like a setup to produce the third Jesuits world war.
Pence recognized the situation with Iran, and said that the U.S. also aspires for hope in the region. Pence said that he met with the leaders of Egypt and Jordan earlier in his trip and said that those two countries made peace with Israel and now understand the threat that Iran poses. He added that he is in Israel to reiterate the strong relationship between Israel and the U.S. and that the two countries stand together in facing off against radical Islam. Earlier today, Pence spoke in the Knesset and criticized the Iran deal. He said that if the Iran deal isn't fixed, the U.S. will leave the deal, vowing to prevent the Islamic Republic from obtaining nuclear arms. I have a solemn promise from me to all of Israel: the U.S. will never allow Iran to acquire a nuclear weapon, he said. The Iran nuclear deal is a disaster and the United States of America will no longer certify this ill-conceived agreement, he said, adding that the U.S. will no longer tolerate Iran's support of terrorism.
So I think many people would respond with Israel has nuclear weapons, which they're officially still denying, I believe. These Dolphin nuclear submarines made by Germany. And so why? Well, the reason is because they signed the Non-Proliferation Treaty, the NPT, and Israel did not sign that. But it's clear that Iran cannot pose any threat to Israel, not even if they have nuclear weapons, because of its missile shields, Israel's missile shields, the Iron Dome and others, which I've also covered in my previous broadcasts. So they cannot pose any threat, and then preventing a world war is more important. So it's mainly what the Russians would do if they would abandon the nuclear agreement and impose further sanctions, possibly similar to sanctions in the past, which could drive the cancer oil price up. That's the way, one of the ways they're trying to control the population. They will have to pay for cancer oil if they want to get from A to B. And then you have the Tesla car to cover up the water-powered car that the military is already using. The Danny Klein patent, which is snowed under with all kinds of information that you don't need. Like the 37 people that died of genetically modified organisms. They have attempted to cover up with the reports about 37,000 or 37 million dead honeybees. So 37 people died of a GMO food as a sterilizing, depopulation, murder weapon in reality. So I've already said people have to boycott Monsanto, all Monsanto companies. And I've shown this image. I first have to search that one. Boycott Monsanto. That's working. Top GMO brands to avoid. Boycott all these Monsanto companies. Unilever is one of them. You see that U on the packaging. That's to the right on this picture, U of Unilever. Okay. And also tax-exempt corporations of your choice. So we can use boycotting as a means to change this timeline. If you supply them with money, then they become richer and more powerful. And knowledge is power. So if you know how to take all their money legally, then you own all their money. That's why knowledge is power.
Keep updated, sign up to our newsletter email. During his speech, Pence also announced that the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem will open by the end of 2019, adding that if both sides agree, the United States of America will support a two-state solution. This comment garnered a round of applause. Netanyahu also spoke and said that there has never been a vice president as committed to the Jewish people, and that the historic decision to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital will be remembered in Zionist history, alongside the Balfour Declaration.
George and Margaret are committed of 300 subversive of members. The goals of the committee of 300 we flattened 2 cards by means of but wars into advanced countries by means of starvation and disease into third world countries. The death of 3 billion people by the year 2050 people they call substances.
Pence was interrupted during his speech by Israeli Arab lawmakers who pulled out signs protesting the address before being escorted out by security. Earlier on Monday, Pence and Netanyahu met privately. A senior official said that during the meeting, Netanyahu expressed his appreciation for the special relationship between Israel and the U.S. and further thanked Pence for the Trump administration's steadfast support of Israel. Netanyahu also brought up the matter of the Israeli citizens believed to be held in the Gaza Strip, including Lieutenant Hadar Golden and Staff Sergeant Oran Shaul. Prime Minister Netanyahu further said that the relationship between the U.S. and Israel is based on a deep years-long friendship. Pence said that he remembers the first time that Netanyahu went to Washington as Prime Minister in 2009, and stood up to criticism from the Vice President's colleagues in Congress. Pence added that he has a picture from that meeting sits in the Vice President's official residence today. The Palestinians are boycotting Pence's visit to Israel. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas is visiting Brussels, and called for the European Union to recognize Palestine's 1967 borders. Tomorrow, a general strike is planned in the Palestinian Authority, as well as protests.
So I'm thinking MAD has to be prevented by any means necessary. Mutually assured destruction. And Iran cannot pose any threat to Israel, not even with nuclear weapons. And I and others, also people in my broadcast yesterday, doubt whether airborne nuclear weapons do even exist. Wouldn't it be wonderful if they don't exist, basically? And then you can see these videos, so the way people determine if it's real is with what are supposedly these fake nuclear test videos, for example, the Trinity. And other popular nuclear test videos with these fake plastic trees and stuff. Some people think they're fake and you can clearly see that, and if you look at it, then many people think that could be true, basically. And there's a book, Harmonic 33, about a special position of the sun being required for these nuclear explosions. A harmonic relationship. And then the thing I wanted to say, I have to try to recall it. And they have patented nuclear-sized explosions, so they can do it anyway with directed energy weapons and also generate non-ionizing radiation. So they can give the illusion afterwards by irradiating everybody with nuclear radiation that these bombs really went off, and then it's a more selective depopulation, basically. So it's not about nuclear weapons, it's about scalar weapons, because nobody without a Tesla plasma shield would survive a third Jesuit world war. So the Jesuit Holocaust, etc., it's known. To millions of people. So despite history, forgery, and directed energy weapon torture, making everybody lie for them with these torture weapons. Nowadays remotely, though you can also see these torture devices they used in their Inquisition to torture 50 million innocent people to death. There are still people telling the truth about this, and the truth is still spreading because everybody wants to know the truth. They know knowledge equals power. No knowledge equals power. That's the idea. I know nothing. Wir haben es nicht gewusst. So, I'm also against getting rid of all the elderly and all the mentally impaired. So many or some people would dub me a social justice warrior. But you could argue that the use of the word warrior is offending to some, basically. A social justice doer, a social justice spreader, a social justice advocate, perhaps. But social justice warrior, because this is a real war going on. People that want to depopulate you are your enemy. It's not an info war. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist like Alex Jones. I'm a conspiracy factist. And I've noticed there are very few videos on YouTube with people actually reviewing the news. Almost all of those are controlled opposition. And I don't believe in the YouTube counter anymore, basically. I've seen how easy it is to give myself more likes and more views. And people can hack that and put it on any number they like. It's really quite easy. And you could argue it's not that important. It doesn't matter if the video has billions of views or only one view. It only matters what the quality of the information is you're getting. If it's really helping to produce the timeline you want in the future you want, or if it's just to depopulate you and to regurgitate the lies that they get in all these fake news. Mainstream media websites are fake news. Regurgitate the same lie, so they get that from Reuters or other sources. Reuters might be their main source, and then they rewrite it, and but they all use the same source. And if they're fed lies, then they're printing those lies as well, of course. And then they're all doing the same. They're all spreading the same lies, so everybody believes it. That's one of the techniques they're trying to use. And then there are the paid demos I've covered in previous broadcasts. It's also interesting that people are paid to protest on demand and demandprotest.com, etc. But they're not hiring people anymore, I think. And I've explained the conditions. Quote, proof, unquote. So I'm just going through the things that I was watching. So only the intelligence agencies can do that directed energy weapon torture. Is a lie, because anybody can take or buy a cancer microwave oven. It's better not to use that because it plastifies food and irradiates you, which you can measure with a meter, microwave meter. So anybody can irradiate their neighbor with microwaves, etc. But okay, they automatically assume, and the police assumes, that it's the CIA and that you cannot press charges and that you are loony, that you are psychotic and or paranoid, schizophrenic, if you attempt to press charges of directed energy weapon torture, which I've also attempted to do. And then to them you are known as a psycho, basically, a weirdo, for the rest of your life. So that's not the way to go. They control the police and the judges with this directed energy weapon torture. And everybody is programmed. I'm not saying everybody's brain controlled, mind controlled perhaps, but brain controlled would mean that, and it is possible that everybody is brain controlled, even I am brain controlled. So I should not rule that out until I have evidence that proves it beyond any reasonable doubt. So there's a difference between actually altering people's brainwaves constantly, remotely controlling them like robots with synthetic telepathy, which is possible, but perhaps they're only doing that to a couple of people. However, it is possible that one neural network can control 7 billion people simultaneously. It's hard to imagine for people what it can do, because humans have a limited neural capacity. But ultimately you serve the people that programmed it and control it. If you serve God or any other entity or alien, then you're serving the people that control it, and in reality it's synthetic telepathy, it's the voice of God weapon. And they also pretend to be Chinese or Russian sometimes. But I would argue it has to be AIVD. It's a Dutch voice of the perpetrator that attacks me. And these attacks were felt on body parts, and then if I put my hand on the body part, they were also felt on my hand. But this is like 5-6 years ago. Nowadays they do it more inside your body at an exact spot. They can even torture your teeth out of your mouth one by one in pulsed energy projectile mode, inducing the maximum amount of pain by stimulating the nerves directly. And that's something they've also done to me. So it's like getting teeth pulled without an anesthetic, or worse than that actually. It's really the maximum amount of pain. So that's part of their suicide and no talk programming. And these are satanic pedophiles that pose as Christians, that have the plan for the satanic Luciferian totalitarian global government. That's why I've also covered this stuff about Pope Francis Bergoglio, who is a Jesuit as well. I haven't dug up the dirt on the current Pope, but many people say that they have to eat an infant as part of the initiation. This is also why they have that cannibalistic ritual, the Eucharist. And so they pretend to eat the body of Christ, a little mini naan, piece of bread they eat, and drink the blood of Christ, etc. And that's only figuratively, or how do you say? And but these are Satanists that do the real thing. And that's according to Controlled Opposition, Kevin Annette, a fake priest with a fake court, Catholic also. So they are there to prevent any real resistance and opposition to these people depopulating the earth, eating infants, and doing satanic human sacrifice. And their satanic orgies are also described on universecreator.weebly.com. You can find more information about the cannibal side of the Jesuits, which is often hidden by themselves. They also control the mainstream media, because they control the intelligence agencies, they control the human mind with synthetic telepathy, as described in the Mijdrecht patent. If we are to believe what Citizens Action Network on Facebook has written about this, that all the intelligence agencies are controlled by the Jesuits. Adolfo Nicholas is their leader, and they're all Masonic. So that's the picture that I've used a lot, because it's important if it is true. And they try to maintain a low profile, so most people don't know about many of these things. You should keep that in mind, that they simply don't know any better. And don't make changes in your lifestyle that could be dangerous to you if they don't know all that information. And they first have to be educated before they can do anything about it. So here, that's point 4. They control the CIA, FBI, FSB, former KGB, and Mossad, etc. And every intelligence agency in the world is Masonic and controlled by the Jesuits. So then you have to study both sides, and verifiable information, reproducible studies to get to conspiracy facts and not just conspiracy theories. Some of the conspiracy facts that I've listed are more conspiracy theories, I think, than but the first 4, I think, are 100% conspiracy facts. And I think the most important one is number 2, about depopulating the earth, which is proven by the $1 Million Georgia Guidestones and the book quotes. And I would consider that direct and open incitement to commit genocide. And of course you get people applauding when otherwise they're tortured to death with directed energy weapons. It's no miracle. So, let's read the rest of what we were reading. Ah, it was already finished, okay. So single ladies are still welcome to watch a movie or do other things, make a movie or broadcast or whatever. I'm still there must be a reason I'm still alive. So is there really anything interesting out there? We can read this piece by frontpagemag.com. The Pizza Jihad, the terrorist pizza place next door, by Daniel Greenfield, January 23rd, 2018. Daniel Greenfield, Shillman Journalism Fellow at the Freedom Center. Oh, yeah, they're also called shills. Shills control the position and gatekeepers. People like Alex Jones, etc. Listed in my previous broadcast to prevent any real resistance. A la the Lenin quote, the best way to control opposition is to lead it ourselves. Is an investigative journalist and writer focusing on the radical left and Islamic terrorism. I doubt it a little bit. I doubt everything I read.
The New Jersey pizza place that may be the closest link to an ISIS leader doesn't look like much. There are red cafe umbrellas out front and its menu offers the usual tangled multicultural fast food mess of Italian, Mexican, Chinese and Greek food. You can pick up the same Hawaiian pizza or baked ziti there or at the dozen other Albanian pizza places dotting this part of the Jersey Shore. Are you incapable of stabbing a kafir, non-Muslim, with a knife, throwing him off a building, or running him over with a car? Liberate yourself from hellfire by killing a kafir, non-Muslim, Abu Hamza al-Amriki urged Muslims in the same dude voice he might have once used to thank customers for their order. There's only a slight accent in the top ISIS commander's voice as he curses America. The local resident has come a long way from slicing pizzas at the Jersey Shore to beheading captured Kurdish soldiers. Margate City is a small town of 6,000. It's famous for being the home of two things: Marvin Gardens, an area that was once posh enough to make its way into Monopoly's portfolio of Atlantic City properties, and Abu Hamza al-Amriki, who wants to kill Americans. Abu Hamza al-Amriki's real name is Zulfi Hoxha, pronounced Hoja. Zulfi means sword handle. Many Albanian immigrants are secular, the Hoxha clan weren't. The patriarch of the family, who worked in the pizza business, allegedly took the name Ramadan. His brother and sisters have European names. Like his son, Ramadan may have decided to take on a more Islamic name. He seemed to have drawn on the Quran for the names of his other sons and apparently named his daughter after one of Islam's holy cities. Those should have been warning signs, but our immigration system isn't built to read them. A jihadist, a terror plot and a pizza place is a familiar story out here. An hour's drive away is Fort Dix. That's where Muslim Tatter ran Super Mario's Pizza. The pizza place catered mostly to personnel from Fort Dix and McGuire Air Force Base. Meanwhile his son Serdar was plotting, along with the Albanian Duka brothers, to storm the base and open fire. The Duka family.
That's an interesting point, that if they have names that are biblical or based on the Quran, that should be a warning sign. That is a warning sign.
Had illegally entered this country through Mexico. And the Duka boys had frequently been in trouble with the law even before Al-Qaeda. "We can do a lot of damage with 7 people, Jordan Duka had boasted. The Dukas had their own pizza shop. This place was a rat trap, the Camden cop who bought it and renamed it Tony Soprano's Pizza said, but, he recalled that they would always have the Quran out. Like Zulfi Hoxha, Tatar and the Dukas followed that open Quran from the small businesses of a tri-state area town to the embryonic caliphate of a multinational Islamic terrorist organization. Some immigrants move up in the pizza business by opening a second store. Others try to take over a country. Muhammad Shanur, a Jordanian Palestinian, had a father who ran Plaza Food Market and Hula Meats. Arsim Abdullah was an Albanian Muslim refugee and former sniper who worked in a ShopRite bakery. Serdar Tatar worked as a delivery man at his father's pizza place. That allegedly got him inside Fort Dix. But the pizza jihad doesn't end there. Mojo's Chicken and Pizza in Rochester, New York plotted to kill American soldiers coming back from the war. Al-Qaeda said it loud and clear. "We are fighting the American invasion and their hegemony over the earth and the people," the Yemeni terrorist boasted. Like the Duka brothers, Mufid apparently had very low standards for running a pizza place. An inspection noted, insects and rodents. Not to mention live animals, birds and pets. One review described, nasty, 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 nasty food. Mojo's Chicken and Pizza later burned down. The consistent thing about Islamic terrorists who live to kill is that they just aren't very good cooks. In Margate City, little more than an hour but less than a decade away from the Duka boys, another terrorist had moved on from his dad's Jersey pizza place. Unlike the Duka boys in LFG, he had made it big. Instead of getting the usual perp walk, he was starring in ISIS videos. Politicians in New York and New Jersey sing love songs to diversity. The ISIS video starring Al-Amriki, who had left behind calzones for the caliphate, was the ISIS version of multicultural diversity. Amriki means American. The video featured an international cast of terrorists: Abu Zakaria al-Britani, Britain; Abu Malia al-Kanati, Canada; Abu Jihad al-Rusi, Russia; and Abu Dujana al-Bajiki, Belgium. Abu Malia al-Kanati and Abu Zakaria al-Britani went on to blow themselves up. Al-Britani was really Jamal ad-Din al-Harith, a Gimto terrorist freed by the United States who was part of the Center for Constitutional Rights lawsuit against America. He died in a car bombing in Iraq. But not before receiving a £1 million payout from the British government. Labour Home Secretary David Blunkett, who had campaigned for the terrorist's release, wrote a Guardian article after the bombing insisting that it was right to release Jamal al-Harith because holding him in Gitmo was morally indefensible. It's unclear if the people that Britani raped and murdered agree with the leftist politician. Al-Kanati blew himself up in Mosul and took 3 Iraqi soldiers with him, but al-Amriki appears to be alive. And as ISIS loses leaders to President Trump's aggressive bombing campaign, he keeps rising. Unlike al-Britani and al-Kanati, he shows no interest in blowing himself up. As ISIS leaves behind its failing caliphate to become a multinational terror group, the al-Amrikas and al-Britanis are its new face. When ISIS declared its caliphate, it dismissed the al-Qaeda model of covert cells terrorizing infidels in their own countries. Instead it urged them to move to Iraq and create the caliphate. But as President Trump destroys the strongholds of the Islamic State, it's turning its attention to the one thing it does well: recruiting cab drivers and delivery boys to carry out terrorist attacks. Al-Amriki avoided the failures of the very jihadis he's recruiting. Unlike the other pizza jihadis, he didn't try to carry out an attack in this country. The pals who helped fund his trip to ISIS, David Wright and Usama Rahim, were later caught plotting to behead Pamela Geller. But he got away clean. How did the son of an Albanian pizza family from New Jersey who only arrived in the Islamic State in 2015 move up so quickly through the ranks? It's obvious. Al-Amriki and ISIS were made for each other. Islamic terrorist groups aren't really built on a willingness to die, but on the ability to trick others into dying for them. Al-Amriki had that essential quality. Unlike the idiots who blew themselves up expecting 72 virgins to meet them for lunch, he got into the business of recruiting others to do the dying. And the men he recruits may be the ones working behind the counter of the next pizza place you see. Immigration and the internet, the movement of data and people, can bring an ISIS leader to a seaside town in New Jersey and then to Iraq. And it could just as easily bring him back to Margate City. Next time you're playing Monopoly and land on Marvin Gardens, ISIS could already be there. The real question is, how badly do we want bad pizza and overcooked chicken? Do we really need any of the immigrant cheap labor that's killing us? Saifullah Saipov, the Uzbeki Muslim terrorist who ran over 19 people in Manhattan in October, was an Uber driver. Abdullah, the Bangladeshi suicide bomber, who set off his bomb in Times Square in December, was a livery cab driver. How badly do New York and New Jersey need bad drivers and bad pizza places? Are they more important than making it home safely to our loved ones? That's the immigration debate we need to have. Are you incapable of stabbing a kafir, non-Muslim, with a knife, throwing him off a building, or running him over with a car? Al-Amriki asks Muslims, does anyone really want to be there when the latest ISIS drivers and delivery boys answer the question? Times Square car attack hoax in pictures, know this info. What an arch hoax it is, this absolutely fake car attack in Times Square. It's a CGI fake, like all the others, a hoax, fraud, and scam. Regarding the presumed car strike, if real, this would have been severe. There would have been crush injuries and broken bones. For certain no such injuries were seen on the ground. As one of the strong proofs of staging and hoaxing, there is the fact that when the purported final crash occurred, the New York Fire Department was already there. How is that possible if this was real? Look at this cartoon-like image, below. How much more ridiculous could it get? This imagery of a car virtually levitating in the air. How is that possible with all that tonnage? Regardless, everyone who studies the full grouping of the available imagery knows this is a fake. The fact is, the G-forces necessary to force a car into mid-air from flat ground are massive, making this physically impossible. Image result for Times Square, New York, car, attack, wounded, images. The smoke is added in for effect through CGI, which is also obvious. Here is another cartoon-like image, which is the image of a car striking a human or two, or several. These are either stuntmen, or this was CGI enhanced, or both. Notice the stuntman doing the handstand near the car. Image result for Times Square, New York. Car, attack, wounded, images. The car was supposed to have mowed people down, dozens of them. The crush injuries would have been brutal. Why, then, are there no such injuries? Instead, this is the type of imagery which is seen. Wouldn't at least her cell phone have been crushed? What about her body itself? Why are there no tire marks? The attempt is to show a head wound. There is no evidence for any such a wound. Obviously, this has been staged. What about these men? Why are they merely sitting against the wall? Why is no one taking them away? Who would put on a neck brace for a traumatic crush injury and then simply leave the person propped up against the wall? None of these people appear to have been struck by a car and to have endured that degree of shock and horror. There are no tire marks anywhere to be seen and surely no evidence of blunt trauma. Notes one YouTube poster regarding the impossible nature of such imagery. When a car weighing 1.5 tons runs over a man's legs, he will have compound fractures of the legs themselves and possibly dislocated kneecaps. He won't get right up and walk, and he certainly won't look as though he hasn't even sustained bruising. Times are bad because even with the worst footage that is obvious, the masses believe it's real. Here is another person who has no blunt trauma and who has, obviously, also signed up for the movie. Notice the water bottle, strategically placed. In hoaxes, these water bottles are ubiquitous. Regardless, how was this man hit by a car? There is no evidence for this. Where are the EMTs? What about this man? Why is he allowed to simply sit on the pavement like that? Image result for Times Square, New York. Car, attack.
So what I wonder is, do they actually believe that they paid all these people to go along with that hoax and stuff? And how did they prevent other people from entering that scene that are not in on the hoax? And that's supposedly fake blood, and is there any piece of evidence that proves it beyond any reasonable doubt? I mean, a shoe lying about in many of these supposed hoax attacks. I have no opinion about it yet, whether they are real or fake. Let me know in the comments what you all think and why they're real or fake, and what proves it beyond any reasonable doubt. Or is there no proof beyond any reasonable doubt and we all really shouldn't have any opinion and do further research, basically, like check all the doctors in our country, and if there are doctors that have incredibly high amount of dead patients, a really high amount, then they can do a further investigation, because it's clear there are people depopulating the earth. And they also had plans for a nano-death chippy inoculation to depopulate earth, causing heart attacks and brain bleedings. So watch out, because they're pretending to do the opposite. They pretend they want to cure you and help you, but in reality many of them are depopulating the earth, like the Jewish doctor Harold F. Shipman that killed over 200 of his patients. And there's also a movie about him, about the good doctor.
Wounded, images, as well. Though it is a standard in hoaxes, what is the purpose of the taking of a single sock off? Why are both shoes taken off? Why isn't this man being rushed to an ambulance? Why is the crowbar there, staged like that? Here is another fake wounded person. Notice what is.
So I've made clear in other videos before this one that there's a list of pandemics caused by vaccinations, and hospitals are in the top 10 of main causes of death twice. One is prescription drugs, leading killer in the USA, and the other one is medical errors. Misdiagnoses are also a common cause of death. That's why they're in the top 10 of main causes of death twice. And some people leave them out, but the numbers, the statistics prove that they should be in their top 10.
Scene. It appears that moulage in the form of charcoal has been applied to her legs. What happened to her shoes? If the car tore them off, there would be much traumatic injuries to be seen. The holding of the hand is to create shock reactions and emotional charging within the minds. No one finds this plausible. The place would be teeming with EMTs and fire department agents. This is hard proof of the fake, that is was a Hollywood-style staged act, make no mistake about it. As well, the crazed driver also looks like nothing other than an actor. What was he paid to put on that act? He was in trouble, financially. No doubt, he needed money. As well, the crazed driver also looks like nothing other than an actor. What was he paid to put on that act? He was in trouble, financially. No doubt, he needed money.
So to some people it may also be funny if they think this really happened and that then somebody writes this commentary. He needed money.
Here was one of the people supposedly hit by the car, right at the end of the movie. Why, then, is there no evidence of any injuries?
It reminds me of that truck that supposedly plowed into people, but there's not a spat of blood on it though. If a car would hit a deer or whatever, there would be loads of blood on it. So they claim it's impossible. And that's why they removed the front parts of the truck in Nice or whatever. But these people of nowthisinfo.com claim all these attacks are fake. And you could argue they have a right to have their website, even if the attacks would be proven to be real. But they're not dangerous. Most people wouldn't believe them anyway if there's evidence that proves it beyond any reasonable doubt one way or another. Then there will be people that know about it. Or not.
Even so, what about this purportedly injured woman? Why is she smiling? Why is she not hurt more severely considering the degree of the observed videographic trauma? Tease because she isn't hurt. It's fake blood. There are no lacerations to be seen anywhere. Nor are there. It's because she isn't hurt. It's fake blood. There are no lacerations to be seen anywhere. Nor are there any abrasions. Nor does it make sense that such a quality HD type image would be taken and then uploaded, not in the midst of a traumatic car strike.
There seems to be a sort of red line on it. It seems to have been edited in or whatever. I don't know if it was also on the original or if it's just if I magnify it. No, it seems to be on that picture. Well, perhaps the noticeinfo.com maker can explain it. But they've also banned their videos of YouTube. So you could argue everybody should be allowed to produce fake news, to produce lies, etc. In their news broadcast. There's lots of satire also. Then all of a sudden it's all allowed. So that only the people that always produce the truth, then people start checking who is really producing truth, who is really producing the real news and the things we all should know about, that don't have a CIA or other agenda, Project Mockingbird, like the mainstream media do, covering up for certain people and helping with depopulating the earth, pretending that their noses bleed on the killer vaccines, etc. Though that list of pandemics caused by vaccinations is out in the open, anybody can download it and read it. Also, I've made a video about it. And so are the ingredients of the killer vaccines, which prove by themselves that these are depopulation tools and they're killer vaccines. And the whole principle is comparable to drinking some sewer water and hoping you become immune. So there you go. It's better to use colloidal silver and probiotics to replace the good bacteria in your gut to immunize yourself against their designer viruses, which are out there to depopulate the earth. And you can generate it yourself with a cheap silver generator, colloidal silver generator from eBay. It's about 15-16 bucks. And it's the same principle as the more expensive ones. And there's one with reversed polarity that switches polarity all the time. Some people think that's better. Anyway, let's continue the other stuff noticeinfo.com has published. So when somebody is censored, then I find it interesting, and then catchedpages.com can also be used to retrieve those pages that have been removed off the internet.
Times Square car attack hoax in pictures. Breaking news. Other hoaxes. Zionist terror. May 20, 2017. Times Square. Once again, there are no wounds of any kind. Had she struck the pavement, there would be a filthy wound to be seen, or at least an abrasion plus lacerations. They are not to be seen, period. This means that the entire operation was an arch fake. The man near her has a logo on his shirt, some type of contractor. It reads that is Alan, then a name beginning with a B. Then, it reads, seemingly, Production Contractors, Incorporated. Hoax Index, not measurable. Melbourne car attack hoax aimed to demonize Afghanistan Muslims December 21, 2017 to 66 comments. Melbourne car attack hoax aimed to demonize Afghanistan Muslims. Make no mistake, the December 21, 2017, Melbourne car attack hoax was directly precisely at the Islamic people of Afghanistan in order to demonize them. The New York City pipe bomb dud, Zionist Connection December 16, 2017 to 66 comments. The New York City pipe bomb dud, Zionist Connection regarding the latest December 2017 purported pipe bomb attack. The Islamophobia is continuous with this newest attempt by arch-Zionist treacherous ones to mix an actual bombing with a litany of U.S. Special Forces terrorists slaughtered defenseless Afghans for globalist Zionist powers December 06 th 2017 to 88 comments. U.S. Special Forces terrorists slaughtered defenseless Afghans for globalist Zionist powers. What an arch-criminal, terminally vile cabal it is, this so-called U.S. government military and its mercenary forces. These mercenary elements, essentially, paid hitmen, are working not for any national Know this info. Home, 9/11. Angelic, divine. Boston bombing, Fukushima. Know this info. Radio. Other hoaxes. The New York City pipe bomb dud, Zionist. Know this info. Home, 9/11. Angelic, divine. Boston bombing, Fukushima. Know this info. Radio. Other hoaxes. The New York City pipe bomb dud, Zionist connection. Regarding the latest December 2017 purported pipe bomb attack, the Islamophobia is continuous with this newest attempt by arch-Zionist treacherous ones to mix an actual bombing with a litany of fakes and frauds. It truly would be a high crime to be distracted.
So some people do not believe that Islamophobia exists. Islamophobia does not exist because the 164 Quran jihad verses are real. And what's the other point? I'm gonna pick a pipe. And they've already declared jihad in many countries and places.
Regarding who are the ultimate terrorists and actual hardcore bombers of the United States, including New York City. The role of such arch-Zionist criminal minds cannot be underestimated. Surely, such treacherous ones played a role in the passageway dud bombing, as they are NYC's main civilian bombing force. For instance, as this smoke bombing event is being leveraged by the Zionist-controlled media, the various phonies and frauds are dredged up, such as the arch-fake, fully staged Seflosipov movie show, where no one was killed and no one was injured despite claims otherwise. For instance, on November 29, terror suspect Seflosipov pleaded not guilty to a 12-count indictment after allegedly driving a rented truck onto a bike path in New York City on October 31. 8 people were killed and several others were injured in the attack. None of this is true. That was a Hollywood-style hoax, which is impossible to refute. As well, regarding purported pipe bombs, especially the duds, where no one is seriously hurt, there can be no doubt that these are largely coordinated and orchestrated by the Mossad and its assets, aka the ATF and FBI. The actual smoke, pyrotechnic device on the man in question, now, is being leveraged as proof of so-called Islamic boogeyman-related terror, largely in order to distract from Zionist crimes. It is also to fester the false claim of Islamic terror. It is, as well, to give substance to various phony terror attacks which are wrongly blamed on Islam and or Muslims, like the countless purported truck and car attacks, now proven fraudulent, Nice, Munich, and more, including Charlie Hebdo and other Islamophobic fake French attacks. It was supposed to be an act of revenge for Israeli acts. Sure, it was, right, motivated by ISIS and a Christmas sign or some other nonsensical claim. He read information written by ISIS, made a bomb, and went out to try during Christmas to kill some people. If he was mad at the Israelis, why didn't he go after Jews? Regardless, if ISIS was his source, then, in fact, he would not target Jews, synagogues, and more, since ISIS, that is Israeli Secret Intelligence Service, is a Zionist black ops. So, it is no surprise that much of the information about the so-called motivation comes from rabid, extremist Zionist agents, Rita Katz and her ilk. Regardless, these are the words and imagery of the Mossad, not any actual Islamic group. Yet, was it really an actual bombing? It was more of a dud than anything else. Yes, the individual involved was someone injured, basically burning himself with what appears to be a kind of low-impact pyrotechnic device. The detonation of the dud-like device surely frightened people, as can be seen in the CCTV imagery, as it should have. Ultimately, the Zionists are behind this. All the authorities involved say it was ISIS and ISIL-inspired. That makes the actual source simplistic, since these are strictly Zionist entities. They cannot by any stretch of the imagination be blamed on Islam. The fact is Islam has nothing to do with them, they are Israeli creations. If he was inspired by ISIS or ISIL, then, whether wittingly or unwittingly, he was being motivated strictly by arch-Zionist schemes. Moreover, if he truly tried to actually kill himself or others, he surely did a poor job. There isn't even any char on those white coat and other whitish elements. There was, therefore, no explosive agent or truly dangerous bomb explosion occurring anywhere. Regardless, it truly is a corrupt act, that is to detonate a device in a closed unit such as that subway tube, even if it is a fake, frightening people. Someone could have been hurt severely, mainly from fright and from, for instance, falling, as the device that was detonated had no actual force. This is seen, here. While it did burn him, it had no major force that could even penetrate significantly flesh. Yet, who detonated it? This is not clear. Did he do so, or was it done by a remote device? The explosion left 3 victims with minor injuries and the suspect with serious wounds. Within seconds all the officials just started piling in, all appear closing everything down. Consider, also, this 2016 dud that is also leveraged as proof of immigration-based Islamic terror. The item was detonated in the green waste receptacle. What kind of a useless bomb would do this, which is to cause no damage of any kind? There isn't even a modest explosive footprint on the sand. This is not bomb but is instead a mere pyrotechnic device, a dud of sorts. Here, Zionist Hassan Anwar al-Awlaki was quoted, That Mossad mole who as part of his pay frequented prostitutes. Image result for pipe bomb, New Jersey. Race, images, injuries. The purported Rahimi bombs wounded 31 people. Where is the proof that any such people were injured? Let us see what HAARP has to say. Family of Ahmad Khan Rahimi being unfairly punished by FBI. Father says updated October 8, 2016. Posted October 8, 2016. By the Associated Press. Islamabad, the father of New York bombing suspect Ahmad Khan Rahimi said on Saturday that the FBI had made mistake after mistake in handling the case and is now punishing the family for his son's wrongdoing by barring them from traveling to the United States. Mohammed Rahimi told the Associated Press by phone that the FBI did not do its job properly by failing to act when he contacted investigators in 2014 with concerns his son could be a terrorist. He said he told investigators that his son had become bad and his personality had changed after returning from trips to Pakistan and Afghanistan. Note, most likely, the apparent violence-prone Rahimi is an FBI and, in fact, Mossad asset. A senior FBI official last month pushed back against the elder Rahimi's claim that he warned agents about his son. FBI agents interviewed the father after a 2014 incident in which Rahimi was arrested on charges, later dropped, that he stabbed one of his brothers in the leg, according to the FBI official, who insisted that Rahimi's father at no time discussed his son's radicalization or potential interest in Al-Qaeda, the Taliban or their propaganda. The official wasn't authorized to discuss the case by name and spoke to HAARP on condition of anonymity. Rahimi said U.S. authorities recently turned back his wife and one of his sons when they tried to travel from Afghanistan to the United States. He said Ahmad Khan Rahimi's wife was also refused entry into the U.S. He would not reveal where his daughter-in-law was living, but said her family is from the Pakistani city of Quetta. He urged U.S. authorities to allow his relatives to travel to the United States, saying they are law-abiding citizens. Rahimi is accused of planting bombs in New York and New Jersey that wounded 31 people last month. The Afghan-born U.S. citizen remains hospitalized with gunshot wounds after a police shootout. Prosecutors said that when he was arrested, Rahimi was found to be carrying a journal that praised Osama bin Laden and other militants and that fumed about what he saw as the U.S. government's killing of Muslim holy warriors. The elder Rahimi said he had been given no information on his son's condition in hospital. He expressed his sympathy for all those who suffered in the blasts. My son's bad act damaged our repute, it defamed my motherland and it caused bad impression about Islam, which stands for peace, he said. Sources? Read more at https://www.liveleak.com/view. I=Z_1513027776 and comments =1 number 00603G0XSP1Y4.99. Melbourne car attack hoax aimed to demonize Afghanistan Muslims. Melbourne car
So I was just thinking you can call all warriors bad, whether they're Muslims or Americans, and the military should be banned worldwide, and all weapons of self-destruction, all big weapons must be banned as well, basically, and only one group chosen by the people for the people could have weapons to enforce this plan. That it would be a good thing if we'd all search for these weapons so that no one can ever do that to their fellow humans again. And this can also be enforced with synthetic telepathy if they're already transgressing your right to physical integrity to produce these illegal voices in your skulls. Then they can just as well use it to serve the people instead of the elite or the Jesuits, Masons that control it. Are they? Well, they're just working together, so I think it's wrong to say that perhaps they have prevented these 6 Jews from depopulating the earth. Perhaps they're the only reason we're all still alive and all that. But the neural network is sweet whispered stuff in my ear, or in my brain rather. So, then we can continue reading this. I usually like to read some comments as well, to get an idea what people think about it, but not much has stuck to me of this article that was read out. I was doing some other stuff. So we can check another one. I think Tucker Carlson is a good reporter. I like to listen to him. He had some interesting subjects. I clicked on the wrong website. Or not. Let me know in the comments what you all think.
Child Little Woman Boston hoax amputee actor detected.
So they've banned their YouTube channel of noticeinfo.com. So you could argue they'd first have to prove in the court of law that no Zionists were involved in this, to be able to say it's anti-Semitism or what. But if they control that judge, then it's impossible to get a fair trial. And that's not the way to go. So I don't doubt that they've used crisis actors, etc. Same crisis actor for different hoax events. And some of these attacks I think are fake as well. But proof beyond any reasonable doubt to call it a conspiracy fact would go too far, I guess. Until it's proven. Or you can claim they are conspiracy facts until it's disproven, basically. Perhaps that should be our attitude, because these people are depopulating the earth, killing and torturing people. So we should warn our fellow humans and be on the lookout together. And share information we have and unite against people depopulating the earth. So that's why I made the anti-global government movement. So they can give people hiccups, burps, etc. to make it impossible for them to speak. So let's read the state of affairs concerning the Iran nuclear deal and the two-state solution world war.
Iran nuclear deal. The Hill, Tillerson, U.S. may miss Iran nuclear deal deadline. The Hill 11 hours ago related coverage. Rex Wayne Tillerson, The Hill most referenced The Hill 2 hours ago. Bloomberg, Europe sees way to save Iran deal by placating Trump on missiles. Bloomberg 8 hours ago related coverage. Expert, no realistic Iran deal could meet Trump's unreasonable demands. From Iran. Financial Tribune, Jan 21, 2018. Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, Pence calls Iran nuclear deal disaster, warns of U.S. withdrawal. Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty. 17 hours ago related coverage. Netanyahu standing alongside Pence, Iran nuclear deal should be nixed if not fixed. Local source. Haaretz. 19 hours ago, The Atlantic, destroying the Iran deal while claiming to save it. The Atlantic. Jan 21, 2018. More Iran nuclear deal stories. Placate. Verb gerund or present participle, placating. Make someone less angry or hostile. They attempted to placate the students with promises. Europe sees way to save Iran deal by placating Trump on missiles.
For over 2 decades, Iran insisted to a skeptical world that it wasn't building nuclear weapons. But its history of hiding nuclear facilities and stockpiling enriched uranium raised alarms. After 2 years of negotiations, Iran finally agreed in 2015 to limit its nuclear program in exchange for relief from crippling economic sanctions. Now, President Trump claims that Iran is not living up to
the spirit of the deal.
But the International Atomic Energy Agency is the party that conducts oversight, and they say Iran has been honoring its commitments. Here's the situation. In 2013, world leaders saw an opportunity to negotiate a nuclear deal with the rise of moderate Hassan Rouhani to Iran's presidency. Under the agreement, which took over 2 years to negotiate, Iran maintains the ability to enrich uranium for peaceful purposes. It retains about 5,000 centrifuges capable of separating the uranium-235 isotope from uranium ore. It can refine the metal only to the level needed to fuel nuclear power plants and pledge to limit its enriched uranium stockpile. U.S. officials have estimated that if Iran were to violate the accord and resume producing more highly enriched uranium, it would need a year to make enough for a nuclear bomb. Before the agreement, it would have taken a few months. In October of 2016, Iran slightly surpassed a limit on its stockpiles of what's called heavy water, which is used in medical imaging but can also fuel reactors that produce bomb material. It addressed that within weeks by shipping the surplus to Oman. For his part, Trump accused the Iranian regime of spreading death, destruction, and chaos all over the globe, and threatened to cancel U.S. participation in the agreement if Congress did not create new restrictions on Iran. Here's the argument. Middle East powers, including Israel and Saudi Arabia, have criticized the agreement, saying it empowers Iran's theocratic regime to the detriment of regional security. Skeptics aren't satisfied with the IAEA verification, and believe that allowing Iran to make any fissile material like uranium-235 is unacceptable. But to Iranians, it's a matter of national pride. They make the case that no country should be restricted in its pursuit of efficient energy and modern medicine. Supporters of the deal point out that a decade's worth of sanctions didn't stop Iran from pursuing nuclear ambitions in the first place. They believe the agreement offers the best hope for containing those aims because it provides oversight by the world community.
The deal is terrible.
Trump's goal is to use U.S. law to now change the terms of the deal. One example would be for the U.S. to reimpose the sanctions it lifted under the deal unless Iran now curbs its missile program. The rest of the world community involved in making this deal disagree with that approach, and Trump's critics argue that subverting this deal will isolate America, not Iran. Yet through all this melee, Iran has vowed to continue honoring the nuclear deal as is, but has threatened to withdraw if the U.S. does reimpose the sanctions that were lifted in the first place. A collapse of this agreement could be a watershed moment for both American and Iranian diplomacy.
Well, I think it was an interesting video. And again, I noticed at the end I had to use the escape button to go back to normal screen mode, basically. Anyway. Phew, that's a lot of information. Or is it disinformation? What do you all think? Bloomberg.com. Do nuclear weapons even exist? Because lots of people think airborne nuclear weapons do not exist. But okay, that was the story. They've these directed energy weapons and they've patented nuclear-sized explosions. So they can simulate it and make everybody think that it was real after they've depopulated to 500 million. Then they can portray themselves as the saviors that save the remaining people. Also, if they do that fake alien invasion thing. So it's just better to be prepared with that radiological water filter and storable food. Trust no one, nothing is what it seems. And recovery begins with non-compliance. I actually don't remember too much of it. Let's read the article again and again if we have to.
Europe sees way to save Iran deal by placating Trump on missiles by Nick Wadhams and Cambis for UR January 23, 2018, 6 o'clock a.m. GMT +1, U. Case Johnson, Francis Ladryan lends support to effort. Trump has threatened to quit nuclear deal within months. The risks of breaking the Iran nuclear deal. European governments may have found a way to save, or at least sustain, the 2015 nuclear deal with Iran that President Donald Trump has threatened to scuttle. With Trump vowing to back out of the...
They're hurting my penis, so I think they want me to switch off my camera. Because then I want to stand up. And they usually use genital torture because people are reluctant to speak about that. And they hope that I think there are other causes. Usually they give people the idea that it's something else, that it's their own problem, etc. And most people fall for that because it gives them that thought. And also it can be the thought I and you have right now. And not recognizing this will not make people switch off the brain control machine or reprogram it or put people in charge that are not depopulating the earth or attempting to produce another world war. Instead of universal peace. While pretending they are trying to create world peace, of course.
Joint comprehensive plan of action by May if progress isn't made in toughening some of its terms. Officials from France, Germany and the UK, working with U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, are focusing on how to restrain Iran's development of ballistic missiles. That could help buy time for the nuclear accord, which international inspectors say Iran continues to abide by. We think we can do that. We think we can do that together, UK. Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson said at a news conference alongside Tillerson in London on Monday. It's important we do that in parallel and don't vitiate the fundamentals of the Iran nuclear deal, and we're sure we can do that. European leaders have been spurred to action by Trump's threat, made earlier this month, to back out of an agreement that he's called the worst deal ever by May. That's when the next deadline imposed by Congress comes due for him to honor a U.S. commitment under the JCPOA to waive nuclear-related sanctions against Iran. Read a quick take explainer on the Iran nuclear deal Trump hates. Vice President Mike Pence reaffirmed that threat during a visit to Israel on Monday, saying, "Unless the Iran nuclear deal is fixed, President Trump has said the United States will withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal immediately." Trump has suggested he won't carry out that step if the multinational agreement's key flaws can be fixed. Those include the accord's failure to address Iran's ballistic missile development, the fact that some of the most severe restrictions on the Islamic Republic's nuclear program begin expiring within the next decade, and that the agreement doesn't do anything to address Iran's sponsorship of terrorist groups or contributions to regional instability in places such as Yemen. "This is a last chance," Trump vowed this month. "No one should doubt my word." Focusing on ballistic missiles is an easy choice for European leaders, who are overwhelmingly in support of keeping the nuclear deal intact. Restricting.
So basically lots of people would argue they've both signed this nuclear deal. So it will be met with fury if they don't keep their end of their agreement. And the one that doesn't keep the agreement would be seen as the bad guy by some. And I think they often leave that out. It's usually about other things in relation to the nuclear agreement.
Iranian missile launches and technological development isn't mentioned in the JCPOA. Any agreement wouldn't necessarily require a renegotiation of the original deal, something vehemently opposed by all of the parties to the deal other than the US, Iran, France, Germany, the UK, Russia and China. No respect. In addition, there is a growing consensus among other nations that Iran is violating a United Nations Security Council resolution urging it not to undertake any activity related to ballistic missiles capable of carrying nuclear weapons for 8 years from the day the nuclear deal was adopted. Speaking to reporters in Brussels on Monday, French Foreign Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian said Iran does not respect that resolution. Before the 2015 nuclear deal, a United Nations resolution from 2010 stated emphatically that Iran shall not undertake any activity related to ballistic missiles.
I'm getting a late brunch, so I'm not listening to it, but I'll be back. So it can be that there's a silence, then you can wind forward, and then I'll switch off the picture show. That's the usual technique. And I mention it in every video because I think that my audience is shifting, that it is spreading, the news is spreading, and more people are finding out about me. So thank you all for your likes and subscribes, and spreading the info by word of mouth, etc. That's more important. Also, the best way is, of course, on the internet. Start your own channel for universal peace, or against depopulating the earth, exposing the people that are really responsible. And if you don't know yet, then you can make it a program in which you investigate this like I do. But it's clear that Jesuits, Masons, and these 6 Jewish people who want to depopulate the earth are not your friend if they want to exterminate you. Then they are your enemy.
Capable of delivering nuclear weapons. But in the hard-fought negotiations over the nuclear accord, Iran won acquiescence from the US and allies for a UN resolution that simply called upon it to refrain from work on such missiles for as long as 8 years. Iran's Foreign Minister Javad Zarif has argued that ballistic missile testing is permitted because the weapons aren't being developed for the purpose of delivering nuclear weapons, which are already banned under the JCPOA. Iran trip. Le Drian will visit Iran on March 5 to discuss the nuclear accord and other regional issues, he said in an interview this week with Le Figaro, in which he reiterated France's continuing support for the 2015 deal. A United Nations diplomat, who asked not to be identified discussing internal policy deliberations, said France, Germany and the UK have all told Iran that it must come to the table to address ballistic missile issues. The challenge now will be Iran. In an interview with the Atimad newspaper in Iran, Deputy Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said his country acknowledged there had been an exchange of views with other governments on the issue but stressed that Iran isn't willing to negotiate over ballistic missiles. The country contends it doesn't want a nuclear weapon, so any missiles would carry conventional, non-nuclear, payloads. Conventional weapons aren't banned. Imposing non-nuclear sanctions in the hope of keeping Trump in the JCPOA will result in the opposite, he said. We have not conducted, nor will we conduct any negotiations to discuss our country's missiles. With assistance by Margaret Talev.
So I'm still there, I'm unpacking something. So that's my idea basically about the nuclear agreement. That the person that doesn't keep the agreement, that wants to get rid of it, is seen as the bad guy because they've signed that agreement. They're not keeping their word if they decide to end the agreement, to not keep their end of the deal or to keep the agreement anymore. So that's why it could be a bad idea. They talked in the video about the US isolating itself. And I feel similarly about Donald Trump making Jerusalem the capital of Israel by moving the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. And I first didn't get it. I thought they were two different subjects, moving the embassy and the shifting of the capital of Jerusalem, of Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. But my idea is that it's rather strange if an American president would decide what the capital of Israel should be instead of the Israelis and the Israeli prime minister, etc. Then we're all supposed to think, oh, they have these great ties and they do the massage. No, ties with Israel. So, well taped. Well, I don't know if I want to show this to the audience. But I think it's an awesome piece for my collection. So you can hear it constantly attacking my throat to indicate that you all, oh, that's a targeted individual, so we should turn it all around and depopulate ourselves in teams. Wow. Awesome, better than I thought. Okay. Well, I could have shown the unboxing. It's this thing. It was in this little box here from Spain. Ya yo hablo español. And it's my new Casio blood pressure watch. Vintage. Because I bought that micro wear watch, and I've done a video about its inaccuracy on my channel, and they are basically no more. Their website has disappeared, but all the drivers were online, and it's a low price, and it also has a camera built in. And though it only has 3 watch faces or so, I like them, and if it would have measured my blood pressure with a certain inaccuracy, then it would have been usable. Then you can do a test once, compare to the cuff blood pressure measurements, and then you can see what the difference is. So then you know you have to always add or subtract a certain amount to get the correct value. But that thing just wasn't really measuring. I think it was always, the systolic blood pressure was always 135, 138. And it sucks. So I think they can make these things so it should be a blood pressure watch and not just a heart rate monitor watch that only measures your blood, your beats per minute. So that's heart rate, not your blood pressure. And it has to be e-ink, and it has to have a 720p camera and be full Android, so you can install all Android apps. Because Apple has removed its App Store from iTunes, so now people have to use that cancer cell phone radiation. Plus it's slower, other people have commented to my video. But they don't, nobody dares write that it's to depopulate the earth with cancer cell phone radiation. And I think they all believe it, and that's why they're all quiet about it, because it's really on. And if they say anything that they don't like, then it's bzzz, and they're electroshocked remotely, basically, to death if it's good enough what they said, because they are the worst satanic pedophiles on the planet, basically. So it takes severe misprogramming to create such serial killers that are willing to do anything to benefit their group, including depopulating Earth to 500 million through a Jesuit-controlled Third Jesuit World War, to impose their satanic Luciferian totalitarian global government regime upon the people of planet Earth, rather than letting them vote over it. So let's see, how could this work? Tendency, it has tendency on it. Okay, well, I could wear it. It's on 547 compared to atomic time. It's on 1544. Okay, let's not put this one there. One of my best pieces. So I think I've given some pretty good reasons. Many people might never buy another automatic mechanical watch after my top 10 reasons people should not buy automatic mechanical watches, why they suck. Relax. Demo. I can put it on demo or relax when I push the mode button once. Rec Rem 30. Bio FB. Systolic. So that's the one to use probably. And probably I can download the manual online. You can still find these, some people are selling them. And some people try to get $100, others sell them for like $50 to the highest bidder on eBay. So they are quite expensive, and probably they're not as accurate as a cuff, like a balloon that you blow up. Because you're measuring pressure, then you would also have to study what method this is using, but they had this in 1994 or something already. So then I can go to the Casio website, this one. I see I've linked it twice here at the top, that's kind of weird. And then insert the module number for any Casio watch, which is in this case BP100. Would be nice if that would be, ooh. Usually it's another type of number, I think. Let's see. Oh, it's just a module number. Probably I can get it online somewhere. Well, let's enter 100 then. Ooh, is that vintage? Well, there's another watch I recently bought. It's very cool. It has sunrise and sunset. I'd have to check the name on the back again. But it's not Casio. And it's cool. I like spacey watches basically. It looks like that watch Sandra Bullock is wearing in the movie Gravity. Some people have also been questioning online what is the watch they are wearing. Is it a Suunto of some type or some other watch? Is it custom made for the movie? But I think my Casio watches, some of them are awesome. and the atomic watches keep time very accurately. This is completely in sync with the real atomic time, which can help when you're doing things on time, on exchange markets, or bidding on items, etc. Then you have to know the exact time, but then you'd have to be synced with their time server to bid at the right moment, etc. So then the atomic time doesn't really matter. Anyway, module 2916, 2196, I mean. Well, I could watch a video on it. I'm just wondering if there's any type of manual. Well, I think I can figure it out anyway, also if there's no manual, but I'd rather have a manual. So I think I'm gonna check that out now, because it's really cool anyway. Also, even if it doesn't work, it's a cool piece to my collection. I'm gonna wear this today with great joy, overwhelming pleasure. And single ladies are welcome for a free shiatsu hand massage and a foot massage if I like you. And we have the coconut smoothie again. So, or we can also drink tea, watch movies, talk about stuff, or do things like make movies, broadcasts, or make music together. Musicians are welcome. One of my previous girlfriends was a jazz musician. So my love and peace goes out to all the women I made love with. Thank you all for brightening up my life, for being the sunshine in my life and making my life worth livable, worth living. I mean, okay, yeah, I mean that's it's awesome. They're awesome. So there are awesome things in the world, and we don't have to tune into all this negativity all the time. And have fun and do healing things. Good idea for universal peace forever.